Let's play real quick, and then we're going to the post game. This is Nina Turner confirming that AOC is going to be endorsing Bernie to Jank. Nina Turner is a total force.
One last question for you. Washington Post just reported that the special guest is going to be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the Queens, and she's going to endorse Bernie Sanders. Is that correct?
Yes, the Congresswoman is going to endorse Senator Bernard Sanders, and very much in keeping, Cenk, as you know, in 2016, the senator won 5 million more votes than Mr. Trump and Secretary Clinton among the millennial class. He set in motion the foundation where a Congresswoman, where an Ocasio-Cortez could be Congresswoman, and other people who came in her class in 2018. This is a beautiful thing to enhance and accentuate the fact that young people in this country know where the vitality and the vigor is, and it is with a 78-year-old man by the name of Bernard Sanders by way of Brooklyn in Vermont who is holding it down. So if anybody has any concerns about him, I got to quote the great LL Cool J, who said, "Don't call it a comeback, baby. I've been here for years." And that's Senator Bernie Sanders. I'm going to knock you out. Mama said, knock you out. Establishment class, Senator Bernard Sanders is coming for you, and he has a team of people all around him, from the everyday people of this nation to people like Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, who is standing up saying he is the one to lead this country to transcendence.
Yeah, and she's right. And this isn't, and she's not right at like just a 30,000 foot level. This is something, you know, I go into in detail in the book, that very particular people in the Sanders campaign in 2016 who helped build this innovative organizing operation that is now his best shot in 2020, you know, left and created the organization that eventually became Justice Democrats, which it's ironic that it's Jank up there, because Jank and TYT agreeing to like direct their viewers to fund Justice Democrats, you know, pumped more than $2 million small dollars into them in the beginning and kind of made them viable. That and the bizarre circumstance of having this guy, Shroykat Chakrabarty, who's a millionaire from Silicon Valley, who had left to join the Bernie campaign, and then to help out with Justice Democrats, and then became AOC's chief of staff before getting pushed out by Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries. But
not good.
Yeah, no, not good. She's exactly right that team, Alexandra Rojas, who's the current head, was in community college during the Bernie Sanders campaign, and was identified by Zach Exley as this incredible volunteer organizer, and they brought her on as an intern. You know, and so she meets Corbin Trent, who sold his food trucks, you know, to join the Bernie Sanders campaign, and the three of them end up founding Justice Democrats, which then turns all of its firepower to elect Ocasio-Cortez. So not just on the level of ideological inspiration and motivation, which was a necessary part of it and very much did exist, but also functionally, like it created the actual people and the operations that could bring Ocasio-Cortez to Congress. And Justice Democrats backed Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib too.
Right. And those are the three. I mean,
they changed the game.
They're the lights. I have, in my case, particularly, I am a unapologetic Ilhan Omar stan. There's Lula, then basically Ilhan and Bernie.
There you go.
It's basically the descending order. So
has Ilhan talked about Lula yet?
She signed the letters. Yeah. She's always there. I mean, that's another thing you can really trace. Like, some of my hesitation around AOC has been on foreign policy.
Yeah.
Presley.
She's a little like Warren on that front.
Yeah.
Where it's not that she's bad on it, and it's not that she's totally uninterested. It's just
she's
like,
better than Warren.
Like, as she said in that one interview where she face planted after her primary win, she's like, "I'm not a geopolitics expert. Like,
right.
It's just not her." And you know, I think she can get there. Like, we can't all be everything.
I mean, you know, it's a balance, though, to me, of like, we can't all be everything, but I do think that, you know, you don't have to have like a specialization in, like, as a politician in, like, say, like, you know, I don't, you know, healthcare policy, but you know, there still is like a specific set that you have to buy into, and I think like that is why like people like a guy like Daniel Bessner that I do a lot of stuff with, and other people I think are helping to build the template so that actually somebody can kind of say like, hey, I do have a sense of like regime change efforts in Venezuela.
And I think with AOC, you can say she has the right instincts.
Totally.
Like,
yeah,
and
I think so.
Al Jazeera, I actually think their tagline, I don't know if they still use it, but I thought was a useful way of describing what the instinct should be. They said we're on the other end of the gun.
Yes.
So with AOC, you could tell like she saw herself as on the other end of the gun.
Right.
And particularly during the campaign when she stood up, for the
when
Gazans.
She stood up for Gaza.
During the
and
massacre.
I mean, and Gaza's still another, and that's why Tlaib and
but then she
Iran-
didn't. And then where she got caught up is she didn't quite understand why people were so bothered by what she thought was just basic common sense, that you should not gun down protesters in cold blood. Because she hadn't been immersed in it, she's like, well, what on earth is wrong with a blanket moral statement that says you should not kill unarmed people who are protesting?
Well, I think it actually brings us into the whole conversation of like part of my critiques of like toxic and misuses of identity politics go back as somebody who has partially Jewish identity and has been like, yeah, and I'm still going to oppose an apartheid state. And I think that I think she got a little bit tripped up on that because she was blindsided, but then she gave a lot of very cynical and disingenuous people who have a discourse that sounds very woke about a particular Jewish identity in this case, who are really just running interference on, literally just, look, IDF soldiers post their own videos on Facebook of, I literally just clipped that kid. I mean, that's what it is. And, there's no debate about it. And the other thing, that AOC, I thought particularly, there was a moment where I thought she was really at her worst on Middle East stuff. And she was not being clear on Iran. She was way too much prevaricating. And what I thought was interesting, though, is that the New York Times did a piece about how, AIPAC, in their arrogance, they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to get rid of Iran and Tlaib. And AOC was still on that list. And I remember being like,
the list of people that they were going to get rid of?
They were going to want a primary, or they didn't anticipate staying in Washington very long because, they didn't get it or whatever. And it was just interesting because it was like, well, Ilan and Rashid are taking on this issue and being clear on it. And AOC wasn't, but they still understood correctly that like, well, probably at some time or another, she's going to be on the don't massacre Gazans side of the equation.
A, she'll get there, and B, they could do a lot better in that district.
Right. We can have
exactly. Joe Crowley.
We can have Joe Crowley. He can be a bag. We can just like the new initiative from Israel is because people are feeling very uncomfortable when the Brita filters on Gaza, and so they're bringing it from a tunnel. So we would like to bomb Gaza for 3 weeks, and then demand an apology for having to bomb them because
reasonable.
it was upsetting for us. And Joe Crowley signed the letter. Yes, that's exactly what they could have had in that district. So really, I have to ask you really quick before we go to the postgame. You would say, in your ideal world, Bernie president, Warren vice president.
Yeah.
Got it.
Can she be vice president and Treasury secretary?
I was going to say, why not just put her in charge of Treasury? Why not like Bernie president, Nina Turner vice president?
Well, vice president and in charge of like Treasury.
Okay.
Just make that her thing.
I love it.
And Bernie just does rallies and organizer in chief.
And frees and fucking breaks Lula out of jail.
Invade Brazil.
Invades Brazil to free Lula. He stands on a tank.
Send the SEALs in there.
Yeah.
Bernie with SEALs?
That would be amazing. I would love that. Oh, Jeff Bezos would never sleep at night.
SEALs would be like, we're doing what?
Yeah. Sir, we're
all right.
I guess we're breaking out a leftist icon, and then we're gonna go rob.
We're gonna
Jeff
bring
Bezos'
Bolsonaro
house.
back.
Yeah, Bolsonaro's gonna get to Guantanamo. The book. Plug the book.
We've got people from Jesse Jackson to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the end of big money in the rise of a movement, and go check out the segment that you did about Jesse Jackson in particular.
Video illicit history of Bill Fletcher Jr., Vic Viana. Thank you. All right, guys. Patreon.com/TMBS. Join up. We're going to do a little
for
bit.
Your
tell me.
Viewers, go review the book wherever you see it.
Oh,
that
go
actually
review
helps.
it.
Like just put give it 5 stars and trash it. Doesn't matter what you say about it. Just give it 5 stars.
That's
on all of the 3 monopoly platforms.
Exactly. Yes, buy your book on your preferred monopoly platform. You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.